Well, Jessica, thanks for being here. Thanksgiving, the holidays, are a time when peace or not gets really tested. And you shared with me a story this last week that I thought would be great for the whole church family to hear. And so, why don't we start? You can introduce yourself and then start to unpack a really cool story.
Yeah, so I'm Jessica, and I'm a mom of two beautiful girls, Faith and Hope. And we've been coming here, Hope is 6 now, and we've been coming here since she was 10 months old.
Wow.
And we just had a fantastic Thanksgiving.
Yes, you came and told me. Well, I mean, actually, I just asked you, how was your Thanksgiving? And you were just like gushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us the backstory of the family, which led up to this really beautiful moment.
So I come from a very broken family. It was torn apart by abuse and drugs. I've seen drug abuse, alcoholism, divorce, all of it. And my biological father was removed from my life when I was younger than the second grade. So I'm not quite sure what age I was, probably around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear anything for 15 years. He was gone, no birthday cards, nothing.
Wow.
And he returned back, asked if we wanted to have a relationship, and I made the decision that I was going to be open to that. I was getting ready to go to college, and I wanted that to give him one last shot. And we've, for the last 15 years, have grown a beautiful relationship. But my mother wasn't really one to want to have him come back.
Wow. And understandably, a lot of challenges there. But something started to shift. Tell us about that.
So, there's many years, we're talking 30 years of a lot of resentment, bitterness, and just hurt, a lot of hurt. And it was pretty easy to ignore. Lives out of state, wasn't around. We were grown, so the kids were grown, so they didn't have to co-parent. And I know with past programs here at the church, I've reached out. My mom has actually, made some motions to further her walk with God and strengthen that relationship. She did the emotionally healthy discipleship class last year. And we sat down and had some really good talks about forgiveness and growth in her heart. And my biological dad was not even on my radar because I had written it off. So I had thought, they'll never amount to like having a good relationship. And so anyways, she's been doing a lot of work, a lot of prayer and self-reflection. And this Thanksgiving, we got word that he was going to come up from out of state, living in California, come up for Thanksgiving. So when we presented it to Mom, I said, he's coming into town. We'll do 2 different dinners. And that way, we don't have to worry about anything or any stress. And her reaction shocked us all.
Wow.
She said, no, invite him over for dinner.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. And this is 30 years.
Yes. Yes.
Resentment and pain, understandably. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
And now she says, invite him to come.
Yes.
And what was that like?
For me, it was nerve-wracking in the beginning. I was excited. I stopped and I said, whoa, Mom, okay, we're doing this. And I actually told her, I said, and this was before the dinner, I said, that this isn't going unnoticed. This, kudos to you.
Yeah.
And so I was a little nervous that it might be tense. But, he's a pretty laid back guy. So I thought, well, if there's any tension, he'll shrug it off and it can be saved. And so I just kind of decided, let's go for it, kept an open mind. All the way up until Thanksgiving, and we didn't really talk about it. We didn't prep for it. We didn't have family talks about, this is how we're going to handle the stress. We didn't do anything like that. So
You
we
just went with it.
we winged it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you shared some just small vignettes of that day. That kind of blew you away and blew me away when you told me.
Yeah, so we arrived, we got there early. So my dad and I were the first to arrive. And so we had a little bit of one-on-one time while Mom was setting up the kitchen still. And it was great. I mean, they were talking. We play board games and games on holidays, and they were on each other's team.
Whoa.
They won board games together as a team. They were fist bumping across the dining room table. They sat next to each other during dinner and talked through the whole meal. One of our traditions for Thanksgiving is to go around the table and talk about things that we're thankful for. And when we got to my dad, his thankful for was for my mom. He said, I'm thankful for Janice because she's the queen bee and she has raised a beautiful family, and we wouldn't all be here unless it was for her. And so there's huge gratitude there
Wow.
stated at the table. And by the end of the night, when we went to go leave, my mom gave him a hug and thanked him for coming.
Wow. Wow. What did you feel after that?
It was a huge relief, just exciting. I mean, the sense of, oh my gosh, like, I don't even know if there's words to put to it when you've written something off for 30 years thinking that there would not be peace in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you and I were talking, and you had some great reflections about just like some key takeaways, like this moment is important, and there's some things to learn, and maybe even some things that can be encouraging for the church family. You you said this phrase, peace took time. Yeah, unpack that a little bit for us.
Well, I mean, this was 30 years in the making, and it wasn't easy. It took hard work and dedication. It took effort on my mom's part to find healing. It took her going to classes and reading the Bible and praying on it. And it took years to the point where the family just accepted it as the new normal. That was our normal for 30 years. So, it took a long time, and it was easy to justify losing hope for that change to happen.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even on the radar. It wasn't something that we were looking for.
Yeah.
And it just really goes to show me that God is working in the background, even if we don't see it, because sometimes it feels like, and I know my life has not been easy, and sometimes it feels like there's no progress or there's not anything going forward. And he was still working, and he did a huge work in Mom's heart. And,
Wow.
And same thing with my dad, for him to sit at the table and give such grace to her and compliment her on her hard work for the last 30 years.
Wow.
Even when he wasn't there. So
That's really, really special. You invited your mom to the emotionally healthy discipleship course. Had a bigger effect than you thought.
it did. So I'm a social creature. So when I sign up for something, I'm like, hey, come join me.
Yeah.
And I'm always extending those invites to, family and friends. And my mom, she has to drive 45 minutes to get here. So it wasn't an easy trek, although she had the time in the evenings. But I told her about it, and she surprised me again and said, yep, I'm going to do it. I'll do the drive, and I want to go into town. And so she signed up to do this. And when she did, she found out we were going to be in separate classes because I was in the second round and she was in the first round.
Yeah.
And so I said, that's not going to stop you, or is it? I'll do the first round again.
Right.
And she decided, no, it's okay. You go do the second round. I'll do the first round. And here I was excited that it was Mom taking these steps, and this was something that was just going to be helping her and, aiding her in her walk with Christ. And then it ended up affecting everyone in our family. I mean, we had 14 people there at dinner.
Wow.
And we had my older sister, her kids, her husband, all of these family members that got to see that resolution and got to see that peace and teamwork and the welcome nature and that level of forgiveness that
Wow.
Mom had worked through.
Wow.
So
it's almost for the rest of us as we're listening is just, we have no idea that the effect, we can't imagine quite the effect of how God is going to work these things out, and the layers of impact that walking in his peace and reconciliation, our own discipleship will have.
And this is something I actually haven't talked with you about yet, but one of my sisters that was there at Thanksgiving, we have the same mom, different dads. Her biological father was an atheist, and she has come to me with some questions about God and becoming a believer in the past couple years, ever since she became a mom. And she was one of the people at Thanksgiving that didn't care to see my biological father. She had those tensions from her childhood.
Yeah.
And by the end of the evening, they were talking and having a great time as well. So Mom opening up that door was helping heal that relationship as well. And I do foresee and just feel that that's also setting a great example, God working in my sister's heart as well, because she's warming up to the idea of, giving her life to Christ. Yeah. So
It's just, God is so sneaky. And again, the best way. Like you said, when we can't see it,
yeah.
he's working. And even beyond the stuff that we lose sight of. But I think many of us can relate to family dynamics or issues or hurts that feel like they're just, like you said, the normal of the family. And yet, God is doing stuff, and just one person can start a wildfire in the best kind of way.
Yeah.
Wow. What is an encouragement that you would give to somebody that maybe is facing a similar dynamic, particularly in the holiday seasons where these things kind of emerge once again? We see them.
Emerging trials, heartache, loss of peace. I would say don't lose hope. I myself, I've gone through my years in the last 2 years of just losing sight of hope and losing faith in humanity and family members and people that have hurt us and done wrong in the past. And I've been able to come around that in my own sense. But as word of encouragement, even if you don't feel it, God's there. Even if you get to the point where you can't even pray and you just cry, God's still there. Because even if you don't feel it, he's working.
Thank you, Jessica. And thank you to Janice for allowing God to work in your heart and the testimony that it is for the rest of us. I look forward to what God continues to do.